what's the word? We can do that. So no. That's good to know.
Okay.
All right. So Whit, I'm just gonna jump right into this.
Okay.
Um, so how did you get into boxing? Not the business, just become a fan.
There was the emergence of the websites, the internet. Of course, at that time, you were just beyond a scrub if you were trying to be a fight writer on the internet. And so my first writing gig, if you will, was with a company called boxingwise.com. And that lasted for about a year and a half, something like that. And then their website crashed. I don't know what the story was behind that. So I was kind of bummed because it was a lot of fun and was going to big fights and I enjoyed it and stuff like that. And then I just sent an email to Flat Top, rest in peace, Flat Top over at Fight News and said, hey, I just got done writing for Boxing Wise. As you know, their website crashed and Fight News was in its infancy. In fact, I had to have been one of the first 2 or 3 LA guys, I think, in Fight News. And Fight News really got rolling there for a while. I don't think it's what it was. I mean, wouldn't you say Fight News was the biggest thing going for 10 or 15 years?
Well, yeah, it seemed like for a while there was sort of like a arm wrestling contest between like Fight News and House of Boxing, and then or like Max Boxing or one of
Right.
them. And then it like eventually Fight News just I think through attrition, like I think because of the fact, and I could be wrong about how their business model was, because I think a lot of those other sites potentially had like outside funding, whereas Fight News seemed to be like they were doing the hey, we're gonna get ads, and that got right like
Yeah,
that seemed to be.
I stuck with Fight News till about 03, roughly.
Gotcha.
Like a run from 90, like let's say 2000 to 03 in there. And by that time, I had gotten a feel for what it was a hobby for me, to be really honest. I didn't have any aspirations from the standpoint of being a real boxing journalist, so to speak. But the type of gigs that they had us doing was just basically recounting what happened in the fights. And that was pretty easy, for whatever it was worth. I was an English major at Cal State Fullerton. I got my degree in English. And at the time I felt in my late 20s, like, well, I can't just get this degree and have it be for nothing. I got to at least, write or do something to justify why I went through all that hell to get that piece of paper, So that's why I went to the trouble of wanting to be a boxing writer and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it started wearing on me. I really didn't like it as much. There were a lot of things about the media that I didn't like. I don't understand how you're judged on how close you can get to athletes. I mean, for me, I still fathom myself an athlete at the time, and it was hard for me to like, okay, I got to nuzzle up to this guy, and it just wasn't my thing, and I couldn't do it,
Well, that is also something interesting because I never knew that you got a degree in journalism. So then,
It was
did
English. Yeah.
Love of, oh wait, no, say what
Yeah. That was English.
Oh, gotcha.
No.
Was your love of boxing so then though? But like, when did you get into the sport of boxing? Like for instance, for me, it was 14 with the Tyson Spinks fight. Like I'd kind of been around it a little bit as a kid, but then I just remember it was the mystique of Tyson that drew me in, and then that opened the gateway to. Soon I moved away from Tyson, and just got knee deep in. What was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was a sports freak growing up to begin with. So as a kid, I watched all the major fights, all the pay-per-view, all the big-time fights. And then it wasn't until I was well into high school, middle of high school, where they had the USA Tuesday night fights.
Mm.
And I started watching them every Tuesday night. And it got to the point where I'd watch it with my dad. And you'd start to get behind these fighters that were coming up in their career and watching the way they were matched, and people like Obakar and these type of guys that were coming up at the time, and you started getting fascinated with their progression and their journey, And I thought it was a really fun series, and that's really what got me into boxing. But I was a baseball player in high school and college, and so what I'd do when I'd get off practice, when I was in junior college, I would try to recruit a couple of my buddies on the team to go drive to the Forum with me on a Monday night to go watch Forum boxing. So here I am, 19 years old. As soon as practice is over, I'm not even showering. I'm just changing my clothes and I'm making a beeline to Inglewood. And, I'd sneak into the Forum Club. I'd be up all night and I'd still be at school at 8 a.m. the next day, So it was a lot of fun. In fact, in the Forum Club, I'd often talk to the opponents when they got done fighting and they were in there getting drunk, as was I at the age of 19, not good. Probably even had a game the next day. And I just would like to talk to these guys. They'd be all busted up, lose the fight. And I found it fascinating. They were always so happy. I think they got the fight over with and they got their check and, they did what they were supposed to do. And I had a lot of fun.